Good evening. This is Sarika Sharma. Today we are in conversation with the ever witty and unapologetically honest virdas, comedian, actor, and now author. His new book, The Outsider, Memoir of Misfits, takes us through his incredible journey from facing rejection and controversy to finding global recognition and self-acceptance. Welcome to Money Control, Veer.
Thank you. I have no control over money, so I don't know what I'm doing here. But it's
That's
good to
why
be here.
we've got you here. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
We've just got our hands on The Outsider, so we've been reading it. I've started reading it, and
hmm
the first line, I thought that you were actually being forced into staying somewhere until you read the three paragraphs and you realize, oh, it was a boarding school. है ना? So how
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
build that thing? So why did you go with Outsider? What was your thought that it is finally time to tell your story in your own words?
I didn't think it was time to tell a story of the things having happened because not
Hmm.
much has happened yet. But this opportunity came up, and
Hmm.
the logical path of a career progression, at least in the West, is if you get some recognition, you follow it up with a book, and won an Emmy award, and I was like, okay, I'll write a book if you let me write a book about failure and about
Okay.
stumbling and about not chronicling successes, but chronicling confusion. Um,
Hmm.
for some reason, I've been able to see more of the world, and I've been let into more worlds than anyone I've ever met.
Hmm.
So um, I thought that would be an interesting journey. You know.
Mhm. Yeah. So, we get to read your witty references, like your reference to your friend, your sister. On page number 31, you talk about how she would, break your GI Joe, and you had actually sabotaged her Barbie. So,
Yeah.
you started it very chronologically, if we say,
Yeah.
going it chronology by chronology. But within, we see that you also talk about two Indias. What's that thing that you talk about? Why
You've
two Indias?
skipped quite ahead. But uh, I don't know. I think duality is kind of the theme of
Hmm.
my life. In that
Hmm.
India and Africa, America and
Hmm.
India. So it makes sense. And my comedy is largely about duality and inequality as well.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
in that sense, that's been the. I think everybody has an overarching theme to their art, and I think mine will always be
Hmm.
duality.
Hmm.
So I don't think the duality of India is an alien concept to anybody. In that
Hmm.
sense, I think it's widely discussed, you know, by many people before me also. Gulzar Saab has written about
Hmm.
it. I think,
Hmm.
you know, Shujit Sarkar had a wonderful Two Indias campaign, which I think had Mr. Bachchan in it, if I'm not mistaken, in the early 2000s. So it's a widely covered topic. It just, I happen to be, someone writes a song about it, somebody writes a book about it, somebody makes an ad about it, and somebody does stand up about it. And I happen to be one of those artists.
Yeah, and you described the emotional and mental toll also on the backlash after that monologue. So, was there
hmm
ever a point that you considered that, oh, maybe should I take a step back of about talking from political satire, or you just continue?
You just continue. I don't think you can predict what's going to get you into controversy
Hmm.
or not. I think your best bet is to do the art and then deal with the response to the art. I think that's the only way to do it.
But
Yeah.
I would say, okay, not hand in hand, but yeah, satire is at times misunderstood also by many. I mean, who don't really agree to a certain style of comedy also. So, how do you start? Have you started dealing with it, and how do you actually deal with it when certain things fall upon?
I think you find your tribe, and whoever it works for, it works for. I prefer kurkura bhindi to soggy bhindi, but there is a massive soggy bhindi community out there as well. And maybe we won't intersect our Venn diagrams, but I'm for kurkura bhindi people, and that's it. And you just play for the kurkura bhindi people. That's it.
Yeah, and you write candidly about feeling, sidelined in Bollywood, that the industry didn't know what to do with you, with someone like you.
hmm
So, what do you think Hindi cinema gets wrong about artists and who don't fit that traditional mold?
I I think you have to know what to do with yourself. I was blessed enough
Mm,
to build an audience of my own and then be
mm,
able to bring that audience hopefully to features and to acting projects, etc. So, but I don't think that's a Hindi industry specific thing. I think
mm,
you,
mm,
as an artist, you have to figure out what your strengths are, and that takes a
mm,
while. And
mm,
hopefully, by the time you figure it out, you've built enough financial security and goodwill amongst an audience where you can combine those two things and say, okay, I'm going to take a punt on myself, bet on myself.
mm, mm. And you've also built a global recognition through stand-up, while Bollywood, while movies never actually quite embraced you. So, do you see that as a redirection or a rejection? What would you see it as?
I don't
Because
see
now
anything
you've
as a
got global.
rejection.
Mm,
Some things work and some things don't.
mm,
In a 20-year career, if you have a 20% hit ratio, if
mm.
you actually study most
Yeah,
careers,
mm,
that's a pretty good ratio. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There's a good saying about Michael Jordan is you only remember him for the shots he made. You don't remember him for the
yeah.
3,000 shots he missed. So
Mm,
your best bet is people remember you for the shots you made, you know?
mm, mm. Yeah, and having performed across continents and now written about it, what's the biggest difference you feel? Making people laugh on stage and make them feel through words. Like, what is the difference when you perform here or you perform abroad? What's the
I
basic
don't think there's
difference?
so much of a difference. Stand up is
Mm,
a wonderfully democratic art form anywhere in the world, and it is a
mm,
community experience. You're
mm.
coming in as much for the comic as you are to sit in a room with 1,000 other people and feel like you were part of something, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think as long as you can capture that core feeling,
Mm,
you're in the right zone. So I don't think there's a difference anymore. Yeah, 50% of the audience is American or British or Australian when I go there, and they require some context setting. But a
mm.
desi crowd is very patient with that. They be like, हाँ समझा इनको हम भी बैठते हैं देखते हैं कैसे समझाता है कि चुड़ैल क्या
अच्छा.
होती है या या वड़ा पाव क्या होता है या something क्या होता है and there's a sense of pride to that also saying हाँ I want this white
हाँ.
person to understand कि you know अंधेरिया मोड़ की चुड़ैल कौन है दिल्ली में और आप ठीक से समझाओ
Acha, the
yeah.
book is deeply personal also, but political in parts. So, were there any sections you hesitated also to include? कोई moments ऐसे लगे कि that you being too honest?
No, why would you be less honest about your own life?
Hmm.
That makes no sense to me. This is my life. This is the life that I've lived, and it's on the page.
Hmm.
If you're questioning yourself about being too honest about your own life in your own journey, I mean, you're in some trouble. Internally.
Yeah, and you also opened about depression, self-doubt, subjects many people also avoid. I mean, when you're successful, you feel कि नहीं यार अभी हम ये बात नहीं करते हैं. But what made you decide that these have to be included,
I
which are
don't.
very deeply personal struggles?
Well, I don't put the label of I'm now successful onto myself. I'm a work in
Hmm.
progress.
Hmm.
Abhi to,
Hmm.
many mountains to climb still, and much to ascend still. And what's gotten me this far is being honest about my struggles. And so in no way would I want to walk away from doing that. I'm not um, ashamed to have had mental health struggles. I'm not
Hmm.
ashamed to have had moments of doubt. I'm not ashamed to have failed. It's what the book is about. I've learned much more from those than I have from board or a hit movie or a hit special. Doesn't teach you half as much as
Hmm.
mental health work or
Hmm.
therapy or
Yeah.
trying to get your body healthy, etc. So yeah,
Hmm. And after everything, the trolling, the silence from peers, the criticism, what keeps you standing on stage, making jokes and
I don't
about
know.
those
Mm,
uncomfortable?
that's a very dramatic question. Yeah. Who cares about trolling? You get trolled, I get trolled as well. In
Yeah,
today's
that's
India,
true.
a journalist is getting trolled far more than a comedian. I promise you, and sometimes with good reason.
Yeah.
But so I don't. I take the privilege of talking about anyone with freedom on a microphone. Why would I begrudge someone on the internet their right to talk
Huh.
about me? I have
Huh.
to offer them the same level of freedom. Na? Otherwise, it's hypocritical. And what makes me
Yeah.
stand still on my own and all of that stuff? दूसरा चॉइस क्या है? You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
हाँ,
the-
काम तो
करना
करना
ही
ही
तो
है।
है ना, काम तो करना ही तो है, तभी तो पैदा हुए हैं. So it's not a, it's not that dramatic in my head at least. You know,
और डबल स्टैंडर्ड्स इन कॉमेडी, वो हाउ डू यू
what is a
फील
double standard in
एक्चुअली?
comedy? Do you think?
मतलब कभी आई थिंक कि मतलब हम हंसाना भी चाहते हैं, लेकिन वी फील कि कहीं हम यू नो कोई हमारा दे डोंट टेक इट अदरवाइज, कि हमें लगेगा कि यार मुझे तो हंसाना था, आई एम बीइंग politically करेक्ट आल्सो, आई थिंक आई एम बीइंग politically करेक्ट, बट पीपल कैन गेट ऑफेंडेड. तो डोंट यू थिंक दैट्स डबल स्टैंडर्ड इन कॉमेडी? अगर आपने सोचा है आपका जैसे पॉलिटिकल
No, no, no.
सटायर एक
That's not a double standard in my
स्टैंड.
mind. To me, that's something that's been put out and it's been
हम्म.
received in a way that is fair. I don't
हम्म.
demonize people who are offended. You absolutely,
हम्म.
if something
हम्म.
offends you, you must be offended.
हम्म.
Um, much like pollution should offend you, and much like potholes should offend you, and much like you know, uh, you know, your children not being healthy should offend you, etc.,
हम्म.
etc. Please be offended. Now,
हम्म.
if you want to make 5 phone calls because of a joke and punish someone with process, I feel like that's a waste of everybody's time. You know, but I don't begrudge anybody being offended. You must be offended. Please express that you are offended, and then let's both move on with our lives. And hopefully, I can take your feedback.
हम्म. आई ऑल्सो गेट ऑफेंडेड. मतलब आप तो एक सेलिब्रिटी एंड एज यू सेड कि ट्रोलिंग से बहुत ज्यादा वो हो जाता है. तो मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि जब आपने ये वर्ड यूज किया, इट्स अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग वर्ड यू यूज, मतलब
Hmm.
एक क्लिक बेटी नहीं मैं बोल रही हूँ, आई एम जस्ट
Hmm.
सेइंग फ्रॉम अ पर्सनल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू कि हमको बुरा लग जाता है, हम ऐसा वर्ड इस्तेमाल नहीं करते, बड़ा लोग आपको बोलते हैं अरे आप बिक गए, आप तो बिक के ये इंटरव्यू कर रहे हो, आप
Hmm.
ये कर रहे हो. सो हाउ व्हाई डिड यू से दैट वर्ड एट दैट? ऐसा क्यों लगा आपको कि दैट यू एक्चुअली सेड सच अ स्ट्रॉन्ग वर्ड फॉर योरसेल्फ?
I didn't say it. It was said
हम्म.
about me. Let's be
हम्म.
very clear. I do not call myself
हम्म.
a terrorist. I was called
हम्म.
one, on a news channel.
हम्म.
And but I've also been called a joker, and I've also been called,
हम्म.
you know, you know, my my best friend called me a moron the other day. They're words,
That's the best friend.
you know. Uh, yeah, this is what we do. We sell words.
Hmm.
This is our merchandise. So now I can't get offended if somebody uses a word back for my words. Yeah, that's utterly
हाँ.
hypocritical. You know.
हाँ. Right. और ये एमी रिकग्निशन, यू गॉट दिस एमी रिकग्निशन, वो कैसा एक समय था? मतलब we all wrote about it, and you also invited someone new to design for you. वो मुझे बहुत
Yeah.
अच्छा लगा. My daughter is a textile designer, so I know this is something that I really liked, I admired about you. What was that thought process, and how was it hosting him?
Sarika, I was really the underdog at the Emmys. Yeah, I really was. Nobody, think about it. I was nominated in the best comedy category, not even best
हाँ
comedy
जी.
special, comedy.
हाँ जी.
तो
हाँ.
मेरा एक एपिसोड का stand up comedy special है, but I'm being nominated with these massive shows that
हाँ जी.
cost $5 million per episode. Thousands of
हाँ
people have
जी.
worked on them. These big Netflix shows, HBO shows.
हम्म.
तो
हम्म.
उनके साथ आना, nobody thought we were going to win.
हम्म.
And
हम्म.
I like underdog energy. So then if I give a complete underdog a chance,
हम्म.
saying, "Come on,
हाँ.
I'll pay you. You're from NIFT Kangra and you're in third year, but not Manish Malhotra and not Sabyasachi and not this thing. You're
हम्म.
dressing me." I think उनका underdog energy भी मेरे अंदर घुस जाता है और मेरा underdog energy double हो जाता है. And then the
So
universe
sweet.
gives us a stronger look. That's how I feel.
Hmm. Thank you so much for this interview, and we're
I
reading
appreciate
this.
you.
We're reading
All
it.
right.